You might think that when it comes to home hobby laser engravers, there aren't many new things left to see, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Because here we have the IKIER K1 Pro 24-watt version, which has arrived with a lot of interesting features, and in this video I'll show you all about it. Stay with me. In this video, there are a lot of things I won't be talking about. This is a 24-watt engraver. I'll quickly go over the basics right now. It's remarkably capable of precisely cutting through thick 12mm acrylic sheets, substantial 2cm pine boards, and durable 10mm plywood materials. You can engrave on metal, wood, stone, leather, paper, all kinds of materials, even stainless steel. So this is a 24-watt engraver with a relatively large working area, but I'll cover that in the specifications. Let's start now with the assembly. Well, this machine basically came out 2 years ago, but it has improved a lot compared to its state 2 years ago. It has improved a lot, among other reasons, because back then testers complained that assembling the machine took a very long time. It used to take 40 minutes, even up to an hour, to get it into working condition. Well, with the updated machine, it doesn't take nearly as long anymore, because the frame itself arrives fully assembled. You don't have to put anything together. The belts, the rollers, everything is already in place. There's only one essential thing you need to install. This central carriage that moves in the middle and the laser head that will diligently do the laser work. This can be efficiently done in about 10 to 12 minutes. So, after carefully unpacking, you'll have a fully operational laser engraver in about 12 minutes. What's in the box? Well, we receive essential safety glasses, a small precise ruler with clear millimeter markings, and a comprehensive air assist system which thoughtfully includes both the powerful pump and the flexible rubber tube that securely connects to the laser head. Of course, we also get the 24-watt head. We also get a separate small display and of course the main machine itself, as well as the obvious cables and other accessories, manuals, and so on. I won't talk about these now. You can check them out in the written article, the link to which you'll find here below the video on YouTube. Read it, I'm telling you now, because there's a lot of information in there that I won't cover here, as it would make the video too long. So make sure to read the article. Now let's take a look at the machine from the outside. I've brought a camera for this so I can show you what the device looks like from the outside. Well, the manufacturer used very good materials, aluminum and plastic. The plastics are also of very high quality. These upper covers here on the carriage's rail and also here are made of plastic, but this part also looks like metal, just like aluminum. The whole thing has this blue glossy finish with very high quality screws, a display, and everything else. I'll show you the display once more because I think it's one of the biggest positives of this device. It's held in place by a magnet so you can take it off from here. I've already come across a machine with a similar display, but I didn't like it that much because using a vertical display here was a real hassle. However, you can take this display off, and once you do, it's really easy to operate while holding it in your hand. As I mentioned, it's not held in place by a screw, but by a magnet. The electronics box is right here at the front, of course, where it usually is. There's a safety key on it, which works great as a child lock. So if there are kids in the family, you just turn this, take it out, and the child won't be able to turn on the machine. We have a prominent power button, an alarm LED indicator, a convenient USB port where you can insert a flash drive, which you will definitely need for any offline work, and we also have a precise focus adjustment knob. This is rare, I'll talk more about it later. If we look at the side, we have an HDMI port, which is for connecting the display, and below that a USB port. This is how you connect it to the computer. Below that is a power input, which supplies power to the device, and below that is a power output, which is for the air assist pump. This is also something special, and I'll talk about this as well. What is very important and worth highlighting about the machine is that everything is hidden inside. The timing belts, the steel shaft on which the carriage moves, the rollers and the motors, all of these components can be seen inside the opening. Here is the motor inside, and somewhere in there is the shaft and the roller. You can see the timing belt here, at least to some extent, but if not, I'm telling you the timing belt is inside here. You can also see the timing belt back here. So the point is that everything is hidden, which is not only good because it looks nice, but also because it requires much less maintenance. The mechanics won't get dirty or dusty. So let's dive into the specifications here because I mentioned that the machine has a relatively large working area. In this particular case, relatively large genuinely means 41 centimeters by 41 centimeters, which truly is quite big among hobbyist home engravers. For this machine, I received a 24-watt head, which means it contains 4 lasers. The beams of these lasers are aligned into a single focal point, and there are even more powerful heads available than this one. So if you weren't entirely satisfied with the 24 watts, you could actually get an even more powerful laser head instead of this particular one. And you can also acquire a special head specifically for metal engraving. So really, it's entirely up to you which one you ultimately choose to buy. I think for home hobby work, the 24-watt head is perfectly fine, more than enough. I don't want to drag this out unnecessarily. Of course, it comes with all sorts of safety features, fall detection, tilt protection, fire prevention, and everything else needed to make sure a machine like this can be used safely at home. These are completely expected features. Honestly, you would expect a normal 24-watt home engraver to have all of these. So I don't really want to over-explain these, since in this regard the machine isn't any different from all the other similar machines at done. However, this machine has 2 features that definitely deserve to be highlighted and which set it apart from the average. Unfortunately, its price is also a bit higher because of this, but in my opinion, the extra cost is worth it. What are these 2 things? Well, the first one, which is very important and which I mentioned, is this little power connector, which is the power connector for the air assist pump. So the pump needs to be connected to the electronics. Why is this important? This is very important because this way the pump can be controlled via software. You can set whether the pump operates or not through software. This can be configured from the LaserGRBL or LightBurn software that can be used with the machine. You can specify that the pump turns on for cutting but not for engraving, because that's usually the best way. So this is a very, very important feature, and so far I haven't seen any machine among the cheaper ones where the pump could be controlled via software through the electronics. Another very important thing can be seen here at the back, on the rear of the head. Here you can see a small motor. This small motor serves to precisely move the head vertically along the Z-axis, allowing for accurate and controlled movement. And this is again a very, very important feature. For me, this might even be a bit more important than controlling the pump. But why is this good? For 2 reasons. One is that during its operation, while actively using it, we don't have to manually adjust or precisely fine-tune the focus. There's this dedicated focus button right here. We simply press it and can easily set the focus. Additionally, there is a specific command for this function within the LightBurn software. So the LightBurn software can automatically set the focus by itself. So this is a very important and indeed a very good and convenient thing. But automatic focusing isn't just good for this reason. The automatic motorized adjustment of the Z-axis isn't just good for this reason, but also because you'll be able to cut through thicker materials nicely with it. What problems did I have with it? Because I did have some issues. Actually, there are 2 things I can mention that I didn't like or found problematic. One of them is that this machine doesn't have an emergency stop button. You know, usually there's a little red mushroom-shaped button on top that you can hit and the machine stops instantly. Well, this one doesn't have that. So you either have to turn it off with the power button, or in an emergency, you have to turn this key and only then will it stop. So it doesn't have that emergency stop button that is usually installed on these. I think that's a bit of a shortcoming. My other issue is with the software, or rather with the controllability. The PC solution is perfect since LaserGRBL and LightBurn are really great software and they work really well. However, the machine can also be used offline. We have a USB drive, which is actually provided by the manufacturer. We can copy files onto it and control the machine offline through the display, so you don't need a computer for it. My only issue with this is that the controllability is relatively limited, not much you can do. So this display definitely won't completely replace a dedicated PC software in any way. You can certainly do the main settings on it, and you can easily start or stop the job, but it absolutely won't replace a PC software. A bigger problem is that, in theory, it has a Wi-Fi function, with the machine acting as a hotspot. If you download the convenient mobile app for iOS or Android devices, you can then connect to its Wi-Fi network, and subsequently you can control the machine through the phone application on Android or iOS. You could know this if it worked, but unfortunately it didn't work for me. I tried it with 2 different phones and several operating systems, but it didn't work on any of them. I downloaded the software, connected to the machine's Wi-Fi, but the software itself, the application, couldn't find the machine on any of the phones I tried. So for some reason, this just didn't work. Incidentally, testers who, for some reason, managed to get it working say that this software doesn't really do much anyway. So in any case, there would still be room for improvement here as well. But apart from these two shortcomings, the stop button and the software, I don't really have anything else to report. Who do I recommend this machine to? Well, I recommend it to those who are already a bit more experienced or want to take on more serious projects. Of course, I'm not talking about mass production here, but rather about making beautiful, unique decorative items, whether for sale for themselves or for other purposes. The point is, this is no longer an entry-level machine. It's a bit more advanced than that, and I would recommend it more to those who have a bit more experience. And of course, everything has to start somewhere, and you can begin getting familiar with the software. The free LaserGRBL is not a complicated software, so if you want to engrave using it, you can do so. If you have even a little bit of affinity for technical things, it won't cause you any trouble either. But basically, this is not a machine for beginners. It's more suited for those who are a bit more advanced. For them, however, it's absolutely perfect since it's going to be very hard to outgrow the 24-watt power. For simple home projects, decorative items, and similar tasks, this power is more than enough. But if not, as I mentioned, you can buy an even more powerful head or even one designed for metal engraving, and then you'll be able to do even more types of work with it. Unfortunately, the machine itself is more expensive than average machines of this type, but not by much, and definitely not excessively so, at least in my opinion, considering the two extra features it offers, which are usually found only in professional machines. Let me emphasize once again, the electronic control of the pump and the motorized adjustment of the Z-axis are features that are by no means typical of cheap hobby-grade home engravers, but are instead characteristic of professional machines. So this machine, in terms of capabilities, is already somewhere between professional and home hobby machines, not just in terms of performance, but also in these two features. If you like this machine, you can find the link below the video on YouTube, where you can buy it with a coupon for a price just under 200,000 forints. If you enjoyed this video, pick another test from the two videos appearing next to me, watch those as well, and subscribe to my channel, and enjoy the summer while it lasts. And remember Aussie. Bye.